Hello, everybody. Dr. F Scott Feil here, and I wanted to give you a quick update on our main sponsor, Ice Shaker. If you're looking for a water bottle, a coffee cup, a protein shaker bottle, I have great news. Your search has ended. Ice Shaker has shaker bottles, tumblers, sports bottles, and the newest addition, and my personal favorite, the gallon and half-gallon jugs. These bad boys are both massive and sturdy and keep drinks cold for hours on end. This has been my answer to making sure I drink enough water throughout my day. I've still kind of come around to the protein game and I'm new at it still, but when my doctor advised me to increase my protein intake, I turned to powdered shakes. Every other shaker bottle on the market had its issues, but Ice Shaker is the only one I tried that was vacuum sealed, had no issues with clumps or smell, and it really kept my drinks the right temperature. I love this product and I love the company and the guys behind it as they are doing amazing things and simply winning. Not only in the world of shaker bottles and sports bottles and tumblers, but in the game of life. Their partnerships and charitable donations have not gone unnoticed by the Professors of Profit Pops crew. So if you want the best beverage consumption and protein shaker solution on the market, check out the link in our show notes to grab yours today. You can even customize them with laser engraving, just like I've got here for our pteducator.com, right? And, I promise you won't be disappointed with these stainless steel products. They're all colors, all sizes. You've got to check them out. Ice Shaker, let's shake things up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Professors of Profit podcast. I'm your host, Dr. F Scott Feil, and I've got with us today Christopher Schroeder. Chris, tell us a little bit about your business in flipping. Where did this all start? Where did it take you to now? What are you up to?
Yeah, man. So the way it started was, funny enough, it was from a Facebook ad. One of my mentors, actually, who's not in the business anymore. He doesn't. Well, I guess he is, but he's not teaching anymore. Anyway, no, he was just on his porch showing how he, was flipping used and damaged, broken electronics. And anyway, I started there. Funny enough, it was actually we were actually in a tropical storm at the time. And I had, I couldn't work.
Yeah.
Because the restaurant was closed because I was a server back then at a restaurant called Papados. And so I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. So I did the thing. I got the ebook. I ran through the whole thing, and started, right? I'm always one to just like consume and then start. And I've noticed since I've been teaching, most people don't do that. Most people just read and do nothing. Yep. So don't do that.
Yeah. That is a huge takeaway right there. Before we even get into anything, that's got to be the biggest takeaway. Implement. You have to implement.
Yeah, implementation is the biggest thing. Taking action, actually doing it while you're learning it. That way you have some form of something to base everything off of, right? If you fail at something, you'll know why, because you hadn't learned it yet, right? So we started there, and as it kind of grew, I tried building everything on my own at first. That was kind of a way that, I was like, all the information's here on YouTube. There's a lot of people doing this and blah, blah, blah. Right. And then I sold the iPhone X whenever it first came out, and I sold it for $800. And a couple of days later, I got a refund request and he wanted to return it. And I, panicking, refunded him before I got the phone back.
Yikes.
Never saw that phone. So made an $800 mistake, and then I thought it was time to get some help, so that's what I did. I reached out to my now mentor and got some help with it, and then gradually grew. It was a gradual, slower process. And that is one thing I want to point out to the audience is, like, this is not something where you're going to make $5,000 next month. Like, that's just not going to happen. I'm very realistic about numbers. Will you make 1,000? Maybe. It depends on how much you input. The input leads to a direct output. So however, how it comes down to really how many offers are you going to make, right? Make 20 offers a day. Yeah, you might make $1,000 next month. Right. So that's kind of what it comes down to, is that. that far in the story, I just kind of kept growing at that point until I, in 1 month, I made about $4,000 on the side outside of my job, which I usually made about $2,000 to $2,500 a month, waiting tables, and it was at that point when I was like, you know what? Like, I think it's time to go, and it was kind of funny because the head wait that was in there, the head wait, he's the guy that checks us out at the end of the night and everything, make sure our cash and everything is legit, and we're doing what we're supposed to. And he was like, "How's that electronics business going?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I made about $4,000 this month from it." And I still remember it to this day. He just paused, like he was just silent, And then he was like, "Dude, that's freaking awesome." He's like, "When are you getting out of here?"
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Most employees would be like, you got to be lying, and things like that. But I thought that was pretty cool that he was kind of like that. And it wasn't too long after that I went full time, and then kind of just gradually grew from 4 to 6 to 10K plus. And then other opportunities started opening. I learned how to do Facebook ads. I learned how to do Instagram ads. I eventually learned how to do Google ads, and I learned how to do a lot of things. I ended up starting a marketing agency out of the reselling business. I was the first one to essentially start what's called buyback ads. I learned the Facebook ads, but then I kind of just started a company running ads for other resellers simply because they asked me to.
Yeah.
So that was my first real taste of like, actually making a recurring income, which was pretty cool. I got up to about 6,000 a month in just straight recurring revenue from that. And then COVID happened. So, and then everybody was, flailing in their business.
Yeah.
So, obviously I was dropping clients left and right because they were like, we can't pay for this and this, that, and everything else. So it's kind of funny. I went back to just flipping for a good while. And, after everything kind of, that was the thing that actually saved me, was going back. And that's when I realized that this industry specific is recession proof, depression proof, market proof. Everybody's always going to have electronics. Everybody's always going to be needing to buy and or sell something. And everybody always needs cash. Right. So I just really started digging deep into that. And I just started creating a, terminology of my own. And like, I got many different methods that I use now that I've kind of coined, like my many streams method and my scheduled meetup model, which is actually partially created by my wife, which is funny. So, and then, and now with where we're at, we help people now get to about 5,000 a month in profit with a done with you service.
Nice.
So we actually run their ads for them so they can actually learn how that works, send them weekly updates on how their ads are doing and stuff like that. And then we also coach them as well. I have 5 total coaches in my program. We have one for reach out, one for game consoles, negotiation, ads, and eBay and stuff. So it's a thing. It's it's an organization going on here.
I love that there's a lot to unpack there, right? But you hit a lot of key elements there, right? One, you kind of started small, you grew, you scaled to now it became your full-time thing. It even got bigger. And then you were able to still fall back on it again when things got tough, when COVID hit, right? Because you stacked skills over time that just made you better and better and better at what you did and where you started to where you're at now, and the ability to fall back on things and give yourself the optionality to fall back on it should something happen. Right. So just having those skills has really, helped you to not only grow, but survive while you needed to. And then again, come back on top and know the ins and outs of this thing. So tell us a little bit about like the whole process of flipping. Like, let's say you have an old cell phone here that you're, looking to get rid of. Tell us about the process. What does it look like?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll use this phone that I have here that I picked up the other day. Still waiting on it to sell, but so this is a iPhone, I believe it was a 12, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, iPhone 12. As you can see, it's got a cracked back. It's pretty shattered. Cameras don't work. The front screen is scratched to hell. um, but what we do is we run ads, like I talked about a minute ago, that attract people. So basically, what these ads say is, we buy phones, we buy MacBooks, we buy whatever, right? It can be for anything. If you flip things in another industry, it works the same way. If you flip couches, if you flip cars, if you run Facebook ads that say, we buy this, people will reach out to you.
Yeah.
And then the premise behind that is, like, we're looking for the people that aren't actually looking to sell their stuff on Marketplace. Like, we want the lazier people, right, to reach out to us. So whenever they reach out, we ask them, what device do you have? What's wrong with it? Right. That's all we ask. And then they'll usually tell us, so for example, iPhone 12 cracked, right? And then we just make an offer. So for this one specifically, I made an $80 offer. It will sell for in the range of $220-ish. So it's going to be a nice little profit. I actually ended up getting it for $60 once we met, because I realized the cameras didn't work. Right. So, I took the photos there at Starbucks, because that's where I meet most people. It's right down the road from me. And it's listed right now. I believe it's got 7 watchers, so it'll sell any day now, for about $220-ish. So $60 into $220, subtract eBay fees, which is about $42-ish, $220 minus 180-ish minus 60. That's a pretty solid profit. You do 30 of those a month.
There you go.
A $3,000 a month profit business, and that, our typical average range of profit is anywhere between $80 to $150 per device. So, and we do this with phones, MacBooks, iPads, smartwatches. VR systems have been a huge addition to this.
Nice.
Stuff like that. So that's pretty much the process in a nutshell. And then you just ship it up, or ship it from the post office. So
awesome. Well, what would you give as far as advice to somebody who's looking to just get started in the flipping business? Like, if somebody's like, yeah, this sounds like it could be for me, I'm not really sure what to do here. Because one of the things you did touch on as well that I 1,000% agree with is mentorship and paid mentorship, right? I'm a big fan of condensing my timeline, learning from somebody who's already done it. That's a big one for me. I always recommend, hey, find someone who's doing what you want to do and pay them for their time and knowledge. It'll save you hassle. It'll save you headaches. You won't make the same mistakes they did, and it'll condense your timeline, right? What are some tips or tricks or pointers or advice you'd give for somebody who's looking to get started in the flipping business?
I would say, you can check out my YouTube channel. It's a great place to start. But I think, sometimes people should just go out and fail first, right? Go out and buy something, right? That way you have a point of reference to actually use the knowledge that you're going to learn, right? Like, go out and just try. Even if you break even on something, or even if you lose money, just it is what it is. Like, that's, and I do want to be very clear about that. You're going to lose money. Like, that's going to happen. This isn't, a business where everything is up and profit. You're going to make mistakes. Anything that's worth doing takes trial and error. So
been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. So, and a lot of people, especially, I know you got a lot of like college people, a lot of people don't want to make mistakes, but I see that as more of an issue with learning than anything else. People are scared to make those mistakes, where those mistakes are honestly, they were the stepping stone for some of my greatest successes. Was when I fell flat on my face, I was able to step on that box of failure, because I learned something.
Exactly.
And, failing is actually the greatest teacher. So what I would recommend is just go out, try to flip something, right? Like, go on Facebook Marketplace, try and find an Oculus Quest for, $100, $120, or if it's listed for 200, lowball them, right? You're going to get told no a lot, and that's okay. because typically my students close anywhere between 1 and 10 people through ads. On just reaching out, DMing people on Marketplace, it's like 1 out of 20.
Mhm.
But some of my students, that's all they do is just DM people on Marketplace. And I just had one hit 10,000 in sales in 60 days.
Wow.
So,
That's
so,
awesome.
and you can only imagine how many times he gets told no per day.
Yeah.
Reaching out to 20 plus people a day.
Yeah. That's definitely something in business you have to get comfortable with, and sales is taking no, right?
Yeah.
Because every no is just one step closer to yes, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen that FAIL stands for first attempt in learning, right? And I'm a firm believer of that, in academia, like you said, like people are afraid to fail. They're afraid to make mistakes. And it's like, no, like every mistake's a learning opportunity. Take it that way, like use it that way. Just don't make the same mistake again, right? And as long as you can kind of do that, you can get better and better and better at these things. So
yeah,
that's great advice, man. I really think you've taken something so simple as flipping a phone to like really get to the nuts and bolts of business and how to be successful. So appreciate that. Well, Chris, thank you so much, man, for your time and for coming on to educate the audience about how to flip things and make that a side gig and maybe even a full-time gig. Where can people reach out to you and find you if they have more questions or want to get more coaching information?
Yeah, so the deep stuff is on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook group. We got about 13,000 people in it. So it's a good sized group, good learning group. It's called Reselling Electronics for Profit. Very simple. Just join and stuff. But YouTube, you can go and find about 1,000 videos. There's a lot of content on there. I give a lot of free game. Being fully honest, and I like to be very transparent and upfront about my intentions. Like all that free content is given away so that in hopes we one day earn your business in our mentorship program. So we want you to come in kind of ready, because whenever we bolt on our system, you're going to blast off because that's how it works.
Yeah.
So,
and what's the YouTube channel?
It's just Christopher Schroeder. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we'll drop those links in the show notes so it's easy for everyone to find. Chris, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate your time.
No, thank you, man.